Hey, Pep Talks family, and YouTube, Instagram, wherever y'all are at and located. We are back for another Pep Talks conversation. And as usual, I got another guest. So just hopping into it. As you see below, the topic for today is Feel, Deal, and Heal. Um, Quick thing about this topic, it's actually one of the taglines from one of my songs from my most recent album, shameless plug here. My album called The Journey. The Journey continues healing, and the song is called Heal. And basically in the song, it just says you have to feel, deal, and heal. So it's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So before I bring my guest in for today and co-star, I just give my introduction of her. She is a North Carolina native. She is big on family and a part of my family. So I have another family member we're bringing in. She's a mother, she's a grandmother, an entrepreneur, a breast cancer awareness advocate, and survivor. So please help me welcome Lakeisha, who I know to be as Kiki.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's an early morning trying to
I know.
getting through this day. Fun fact, drum roll. Kiki actually named me, y'all. So
Yep.
it's where I get my name from. So before anything, let's jump into that for a second. What was that process, or where did you get the name from? What was? If you remember?
Yeah, that's been a long time.
Because it was 31 years ago.
So, I don't really know. I kind of think it came from at the time. I mean, you know, your mom already had 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of sort of where she was more leaning toward girl names. And I don't know. I used to then, because I was in high school. So I used to just play around for some reason. I used to just play around with different names and just writing names out to see what they look like and doing different ways of spelling names. I don't know why. But I don't know. Me and your mom were talking and I threw that name out there and she was like, "Oh, I like that." And there you have it.
There we have it.
My Datrell.
Datrell. Listen, so I did another video on YouTube years ago because, you know, like it became a thing where people would like try to discover like what their name meant and stuff like that. For me, I was like, it's this original name that they came up with. And honestly, I always appreciated the fact that I had someone close to me that came up with my name. But the truth, because as a kid, it was so rare, I didn't like my name.
Right.
Because
I understand.
It was so rare, and it was like, you know, you would see keychains of everybody with their names on.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, my name ain't on nothing. Like,
yeah.
So actually, healing moment for me that actually what made me like my name was that I sat down one day and I am bawling on YouTube crying. It's like an old video I did, but I broke my name apart to find its meaning. And now, of course, it's becoming a popular name, so other people are adding meanings and stuff to it.
Right.
But I took day and trail. And I said day being like the sun or light. And then trail like a trail being a path. So I said that my name means the path of light.
Oh, I love it.
So I've always gone with that. And so even as far as like music, people wonder and ask like, but that's why I call family and supporters, that's why I call them daylights. Because it's part of my name of being the path of light. So
I like that. And it's funny you should say that because my middle name, and I choose not to share it, a friend of my mother's, actually, it was her middle name.
Gotcha.
And she's gone on home now. But the last thing I remember from her, and after I found out she passed away, I was like, oh God, now I feel so bad. We were talking and we were in Southern Lunch because that's where she worked. And we were talking, and she says, "Well, you know, you got your middle name from me. Do you like it?" And I was like, "No." And it's funny because that's the last thing I remember my conversation with her being about. And she and I had talked many times before, but that was the last conversation. And I was like,
Jason.
no, I
Ooh.
don't like it.
Whew. See,
But
it's one of those.
it worked. So it
Yeah,
is what it
it
is.
is what it is. Oh God, that is funny though. So gotta say.
Right.
All right. So as we said, the topic for us today is feel, deal, heal. Before I get started, I'm trying to implement this prayer thing that I do as a life coach
Mhm.
as well. But just something I like to implement just to kind of set the tone for the conversation.
Yeah.
So it begins to be a little bit of engagement at the end, but it's nothing major. But just kicking it off, it says, "This is not a space to feel judged. This is not a space to feel ashamed. This is not a space to feel alone, but this is a space to feel peace. This is a space to confess. This is a space to let go. And this is a space to receive. Spirit of light, we invite you in to illuminate the darkness. Spirit of peace, we invite you in to settle the chaos within. Spirit of love, we invite you in to comfort. Spirit of joy, we invite you in to make us whole. And while our pieces make us feel separated, we understand that it is our cracks that lets our light shine through, and it is our truth and our love that sets us free. And we are the light that shines through the darkness, and we are the love that frees ourselves and others. And we are worthy, worthy of every goal, every dream, and everything that we aspire to be. And now we breathe in. So take a deep breath, breathing in to receive the newness of life, and exhaling to release the old. So, something I like to implement, just again, set the tone. But before we jump into this topic, I forgot to give you the space to tell us more of who you are, what you do, and what you offer.
Well, I am Lakeisha Mabry. Friends and family call me Kiki. Um, 47-year-old. My profession, I am an SBA loan closer for First National Bank of Pennsylvania. I work out of a Charlotte location, downtown Charlotte. Um, that's who I am and what I do. Uh, but what really draws me is that I am this coming October, this coming 24th, I will be a 5-year breast cancer survivor. And that led me to the passion of working and assisting with other working breast cancer survivors because during my bout with breast cancer, I continued to work. And I found that to be very difficult as far as just getting assistance and things like that. The There was not a lot available because it was kind of sort of based off of, I guess, income and what you were bringing in. And being that I had continued to work because I had to work, um, there wasn't a lot available to me. So it was my mission as the founder of Heart and Soul Foundation to, when my feet hit the floor, my soul, SOLE, hits the floor, I'm going to do what I can to help others so that they will not be in that same situation as I was. Here in 5 years later, yes, I am still paying medical bills. I did get a lot of assistance from my oncology office, which they were a great source, great people working with me and helping me through. But there are still, yep, 5 years in, medical bills that I am still paying.
Whew. Wow. And so I think even with that, I think that's an amazing thing to be able to step into the offer. It's also a thing that I feel like it's weird that sometimes we go through things that not only is something to strengthen us, but
Mhm.
it begins to be something to help strengthen others as well.
Yes, yes.
And I think it's great that the duality in this, again, it also shows that it's like I'm able to help others, but that also doesn't mean I still don't have my own.
Right, right,
So I
right.
think that's the thing, and those are the conversations I like to have now. Is that just because we can have a conversation doesn't always mean I got it together.
Exactly.
But I see the importance of being able to have that partnership of being able to help each other through
Right,
this.
right.
So I think that's an amazing thing. And with the topic today being Feel Deal Heal, I think not only so as I began to prepare for the conversation today, I was initially thinking like, oh yeah, we'll talk about, family trauma or personal trauma and things like that. But I'm like, not only is it fitting for that, but it's also fitting for it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
Mhm.
and literally taking in that of how you guys even have to, as the women, have to do the self-examination to feel, to be able to deal, to if catching early detection or anything like that, and that being also a healing process. So I'm like, whew, this is gonna be a doable thing here. So that's why I said we gonna see how far we can get. Um, but with that being said, I will open that floor up to share. What are some of your experiences? And maybe, and I say that because you can share on either side, whether you feel, or if it's both, whichever. Question is, what are your experiences with having to feel, deal, and heal? So this can be something about, you know, trauma and, dealing with things on a day to day from relationships, whatever. Or if you actually want to even share some of your story with your journey of having breast cancer and defeating it and all those different things, I literally leave that floor up to you of how you want to go about that.
Um, I think I'll take it from the breast cancer perspective,
Okay.
um, and just kind of go in to each the feel, the deal, and the heal piece of that.
Okay.
So, you know how you have some of those dates that you just never seem to forget?
Mm-hmm.
So, September 23rd, 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2 breast cancer. So, and it's funny how things work, and it takes a lot, and a lot of the things that you go through in your life prepares you for certain things. And that was one of my things coming along, because it seemed like I had things, I always had to be the one that had the challenge.
Mm,
I mean, it just seemed like everything I did, it took 3 times the work that it did with anybody else.
yeah.
So at this point, 2017, I had was here again facing to what I felt as another dead end job. Um, I had been there, and I don't knock it because it was there when I needed it. It paid the bills,
Right.
all that. But at this point in that year, I was just like, okay, I got to get out of here. I don't know what else to do. I've applied. I've been denied. I Okay, am I stuck here?
Right.
So, childhood friend of mine. We've been friends since second grade. So we were together one weekend, laughing, talking. Her mother was there. Mother's been in banking industry for as long as I can remember. She walks over to me. She sits down beside of me, and she says, "Kiki, I got a job in my department." And I'm like, okay. So we go in, we talk about it. She sets up a time, we talk about it. Okay, cool. I go through the interview process. And of course, I'm just like, okay, I mean, I've been here many times before. So.
Right.
So I go on and do that. Well, it comes up, and I actually get offered this job. And that's what I currently do now, SBA closing. I get offered the job. I accept the job. I move up all of my um, doctor's appointments and everything. so that I could have everything done before I take on this new position that I was supposed to start on September 25th, 2017. So, one of the appointments, of course, that I moved up was my mammogram, which I had already started getting them, have been getting them since, of course, at that time it was age 40. So, I had been getting my mammograms. Get that moved up. I go for the appointment. I actually went for the appointment the Wednesday before on the 21st. Went for the appointment. My follow up and results were due back on that Friday. Go in that Friday. I get told that I had breast cancer. First thing in my mind, because I always have to fix it. I always have to know what to do. I always have to have a plan. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Because this particular Friday, they were already giving me my farewell lunch, everything at work. I mean,
Wow.
gifts, and I mean, it was. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I go in. I'm of course bawling, telling these people, my coworkers for the past 6 years, what was going on. Oh my God, they start crying, so we're all crying. And then I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do? I've turned in my resignation. So I actually ended up going back and working, but in that time, when we get to the field, I didn't go back immediately. I took 2 weeks off. And at that point, I will tell you that I literally felt nothing. I was completely numb. I cried literally probably those 2 weeks straight. Just every night. I don't remember sleeping peacefully for those 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was, I mean, and that was there was no feeling at that point, at that time. And I got there and I'm in this place and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I got a job that I'm supposed to start. My son at that time had told me, had just had his daughter in July. Not my son at that time. He's still my son. But my son had told me, I mean, had just had his little girl. So I can't really say it was a pity party. It was just, I think that was just my moment to try and gather myself
Mhm.
to get into, hey, what you got to do. So that point of the field, it was nothing there. And then I got to, after being in the house those 2 weeks, I got to the, hey, it is what it is. You got to put on your boots, put on your big girl panties, as the older people say.
Yeah.
You got to deal with this. You got a grandbaby. You got a job. And all along, all of this time, even with my diagnosis and going back and telling my new manager that I had breast cancer, that didn't stop the fact that they still wanted me on board. And so I did end up going back to my previous job long enough to get my surgery done. So I had the surgery and then I started my treatments the Thursday after Thanksgiving of 2017. Only to find out, and which I had forgotten. Like, mind you, I told you I've known the lady that hired me at the bank. I've known her since her daughter and I were in the second grade.
Mhm.
Coolly and completely forgot that she was also a breast cancer survivor. And they kept pushing, and her manager kept saying, Cookie, if she's coming, tell her to come on. We'll work around it. Little did I know, she was a breast cancer survivor. So it was like, I was just like, what in the world? Because in
Wow.
the midst of all of that, God was still working, laying stuff out.
Yeah.
So it came to the deal. Okay, deal with it. This is what you got to do. This is what the doctors are saying. Let's do it. And then the heal, prayer and the Lord and family support. I would get, I mean, just random calls, random text messages from family and friends. So it took, I mean, a big part of it was support
Or
and just the mindset to, hey, I got to keep pushing. I got stuff to do.
yeah.
So,
Whew. Uh, listen, so and I'd say whew like that because honestly speaking, for a while, I didn't even know.
wow.
Um, because you said September. Remember, I moved to Houston September 4th, 2017.
Ah,
So a lot of honestly throughout your journey of that, I had
mhm.
no idea.
Yep.
Um, and I think even in that time, like there are still because we speak in the family at times that some of us are dreamers and things like that. And I think we've had those random times where like we'll reach out and be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yep.
And I think you've even said some of that, like, "Hey, like I needed it," but still not knowing
Right.
anything that was going on. And I think finally, I think my mom may have told me, was like, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "Girl, no, I'm in Houston." So, but just all of that. So even just going through that process, and I think by the time I found out you were in and thriving in that healing process
Mhm.
before again I really knew, and it was like, okay, so so even for now, like for me, this is truly again a lot of my stock responses, why they are the way that they are for people watching, is because I've never heard the story before.
Yeah.
So it's very shocking to me. But again, I think it's again shows the strength of support and prayer and family and things, and just also speaking to who you are as a person. I think that's also just one of the things that you've been one of the cousins who've always stood out to me as well. So
Even in the midst of those growing up fighting.
a bunch of that.
Hey, that's what we do.
That's what we do.
We
But so
fight
no,
each
it's
other,
just
but we fight for each other.
and then go back to fighting each
Right.
other. But no, I think it's just that thing that um even for me, I think looking back at it now as a 31-year-old, even just seeing a lot of your strength and things that even I didn't get or understand then, it was just like she just gets it done. It's just and so I joke about like a lot of my friends, like I was telling Jeremy before, I was like, boy, like it's crazy looking at them because when they were 30, it was like they just had it all figured out.
No,
And I'm like, so now again, so right. So now looking back, I'm like, even in that, it's like being a single mom and all those different things. It was like, God, she had to endure a lot. And
yeah,
just,
yeah,
but again, just looking at that, at the strength, I'm just like, if anything, it's those are those moments where it's like, okay, if my people can get through this, I know it's a thing. So it's
right.
one of those. But speaking on the past, real quick, this is where we will dig a little deeper. So even if we take it from the breast cancer angle, how do you think your childhood played a part in being able to navigate even that experience of just taking that time to feel and then like, okay, I got to deal with this to get you to that healing process?
Um, I think a lot of it was I was the oldest of my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how some of it, the oldest is the one that has to experience it first and kind
Mm-hmm.
of navigate that path, be the first to, not so much as being the first to do it, but just going through certain things and having to figure it out. And I think that played a really big part in it. Just growing up, and just kind of having to figure things out. And even with us as cousins, I was still number four in as far as our age. So
Mm-hmm.
that's still kind of early on. So we're still trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
know, by the time you guys came along, hey, it was a bunch of us going through. So, it's still just one of those, just having to figure it out. And I will say, being that our family is so close knit, our childhood, we were tight. And I mean, I can still say that even as adults, we are still tight.
Yeah.
So I feel like the support and things coming from family, because I don't exactly remember where Tisha was, but I constantly heard from her, and we would talk, and she drew this, she's an artist.
Uh,
She
yeah.
drew a beautiful picture, and I'm waiting. I now have my new house, and I was
Yay.
waiting to frame that picture.
That picture.
Yes. So, I mean, I feel like our childhood, our closeness in our family, the bond that we built, and just pulling together and just being there for one another. That really, I think that played a part in helping me to navigate, because I had and I still have a strong support system.
Good. Nope. I would definitely agree, and I think that definitely plays a part. And I've heard a lot of people actually say that getting through a lot of those things, be it breast cancer or just anything else, just those hard parts of life. Even for me, sharing my story with depression and even contemplating suicide and things before, that support is what gets
Yes.
you through. Um,
Yes.
because I think the hard part is when you feel like you don't have that and you don't
Yes.
have people, and
Yeah.
then at that point it's like, well, what the am I doing any of this for?
Right. Right.
So I definitely would agree, and I think it is amazing, and I do childhood with that. To this is probably more of a cousin moment more than this topic. Those are things I definitely talk about a lot. It's just
Yes.
what it was like growing up. And I keep saying it's like that's probably another conversation to just have like a true cousin talk on one of these of
Yes.
just
I
the
don't know
memories.
if there'd be a chance to get everybody.
I don't know.
It'd
Or
probably
who
be a
get
line of
through it.
laugh.
Yeah. So it's like we won't even get through it, just all the things that'll be shared. But I think it's an
Yeah.
amazing. So I think usually I ask this question as far as like saying what was your aha moment of realizing that something wasn't right? Was there anything using the same angle of the breast cancer journey? Was it something that led up to that before, or was it really just going into the in for the mammogram and they're just like, hey, this is what came up? Was there anything that you knew before or anything?
Actually, I'm one that I stay on top of any yearly any type of exam, be it dental, be it health, any type of exam that they say that we are to get. I've always done that. So it was my yearly breast examination during my yearly physical that year.
Okay.
My uh, gynecologist, actually, as he was doing the exam, he felt something. He was like, "Hey, I need you to get that checked out." He said, "I feel a lump." So, or he was telling me about it, told me where it was, and being, of course, I told you I had pushed up all of my appointments. I had my mammogram had been pushed up as well. So when he said it, I was like, okay, well, I have that in 2 weeks. He was like, okay, good. You know, I'll keep track of all of that and just, get back to you, or you
Mhm.
get back with me or whatever. So I, but as far as feeling anything, I didn't, in which I thought that I was doing regular examinations for myself. But of course, I didn't feel anything. I wasn't sick. I wasn't hurting anything. So I
Gotcha.
really didn't have an aha moment. It was just through regular exams, which I am a big advocate of that. Always make ladies, men, because breast cancer can happen to men as well.
Yeah.
But any of your regular exams that they say you should have, go get your exams. So, I mean, that's one thing that I say. I'm big on that. Make sure you're getting your exams because early detection saved my life.
Yeah.
I was already and mind you, I had had my exam the year before. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
1 year later, I'm already at a stage 2. So when I went in for my lumpectomy, they do this little dye and they check to see, kind of how fast, slow, the growth of the lump. And I actually ended up having 12 lymph nodes under my left arm removed because it was spreading. So early detection is key.
Wow.
Because I mean, in a year, I'm already at 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of fast.
Ooh, yeah. No, that was super fast.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Hmm. And I mean, wow. No, I think, like you said, I think it's definitely a thing which leads us to the one of the last pieces is just any advice, but I think you covered that as well of just saying early detection for anything in that process is
Yes.
what's
Yeah.
and I guess that's the thing too. Because I know that again, as you said, it's like most people try to keep up with it regularly of like doing their own exams and things like that. I think I'll add to this maybe as a thing of asking, with following up in those appointments, of just like even showing and see, I'm weird. Like if I go to the doctor, I'm asking questions. Like I'm
Yeah.
of just being that thing of like, am I doing it the right way, or just it's just because I think that also helps to know what to look for and things like that. But again, this is me speaking from outside in, looking in, because it would just seem that again, I'm an open book. So even in those appointments, I'd be like, y'all ready for all the truth? So because I'm gonna tell it all.
Right.
But no, I do think, and I think it's a beautiful thing to ask and to say, because okay, maybe this is me sharing. The scary part for me in this when I found out about your journey was because I don't know if you remember my pastor's wife, Miss had gone through this years before, and it had come out that after her passing that this was a part of some of that. So it was like, again, I'm frantically crazy. Like, what do you mean? Why didn't y'all say anything?
Right. Yes.
But I think it's that same thing, and I'm going on a limb of saying this, that a lot of that wasn't discussed on that part of it for me when she had it. So it was a thing going back to, as we said, that support where it was like, even for me getting through that process and not fully knowing, it was kind of like honestly, I was mad.
Right.
Because it was like I didn't feel that we could support or be there the way that we could. That's even why, again, I was freaking out again when my mom told me about you, because I'm like, do I need to come home? Like, what's going on? But just so many different things. But again, I think the advice piece that I add is just, again, as you said, being that support piece is a major thing. I think those are the moments that it's like, this is when you do love on your people. This is when you do let them know. Like if there's any moment before, because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, well, I don't want people to feel sorry or bad. And it's like, it's not about that. It's about truly getting that outpour of love and that support. Because I do feel that in anything that is needed to get through those. Because I think, again, when people see you and I think hearing your story, they'll still look at it. It's like, oh, she's such a, a big positive person and strength. And it's like, still, as we said before, it's like, that still doesn't mean that it wasn't some of those dark days. It doesn't mean it wasn't hard, So it's like,
exactly.
Yes, getting through it, but that support is still needed and still necessary. So that's just my little, I don't say 2 cents anymore. I say $2 because inflation.
Right.
and it's worth more than 2 cents. Yeah. So that's just my little $2. But is there anything else you want to add or to that part of just whether early detection or anything like that that you want to speak on or anything or more advice that you want to share?
No, just hold people close. I mean, and I will say, and I don't think that I didn't go through that moment because the moment when I got my diagnosis, it went from I'm sitting in a room and my son had gone with me. We're sitting in the room and it's the specialist and the doctor. I clearly heard the conversation, but then it went to after he said my test results were positive. You know that Charlie Brown teacher?
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That's all I heard from that point on.
Wow.
I did go and in literally in my mind at that point, I'm saying, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Because honestly, I in my at that moment I could not think of anyone who had survived.
Wow.
So, there is that moment. So, I mean, my advice again, early detection. And it's one thing to talk about it. A lot of times in our culture, we don't talk about things. We
Yeah.
hold stuff in. We always want to, I mean, and I say we because I'm me included, always we have to feel like we have to fix it.
Yeah.
We can't fix everything. There are some things that you just have to, and I'll use the old phrase, one of our mama wisdoms, let go and let God.
No, and I agree. And seeing this, that last little bit takes this a little deeper. Because I typically always say one of the things I also got from Jennifer Lewis in her book, I read her book, The Black Mother of Hollywood. But one of the things that she says in that book is, we are only as sick as our secrets.
Right.
And that I was like, whew. Because it's true, again, as you just said, we hold a lot in, we don't deal with a lot. And this is why this topic, I wrote the song about it. You have to give yourself permission to feel what it is you feel.
Yeah, and it's okay.
And it's okay. If you get mad, get mad. You are allowed. That is your birthright as a human. Get mad, but then deal with it so you can move past it. And
exactly.
That's the important piece in all of this. So to take it there for a second for me is that thing that it's definitely just, again, giving yourself permission to feel what it is you feel. And I'm even a thing that when people talk about pity parties these days, I'm like, have it. Just don't stay there. You definitely have it. And I don't know if it's going to hit you the way that it hit me, but I was actually talking to one of our other cousins this week. I was talking to Casey this week. And one of the things we talked about, and I say this a lot, I honestly, talking about the piece of saying we're only as sick as our secrets. And bringing in the factor of the mama-isms and things. Backstory, you guys, our grandmother, who we love and honor and love, but she did, when she passed, she did have Alzheimer's. So she went through this process of dementia and Alzheimer's, whatever. So give us some backstory on what I'm about to say. But in saying, as we're also talking about this as being a support thing and all those different things, we looked at her as being such a strong woman.
Yes.
But I often wonder now as an adult, I'm like, how much space did she take? Because she carried a lot and a lot for everybody, but we never saw her have that moment for herself. Or who does she lean on? Of course we know prayer, God, and all those different things, but just not having that space to safely deal with a lot of that. And when I say that we're only secrets are secrets and things, we often wonder, it's like, oh God, why did our beloved grandmother get dementia and Alzheimer's? But I also say she held a lot mentally that she never spoke on.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that we also say, talk about sometimes. It's like when we think about diseases, it's a dis-ease. And a lot of times our body speaks to us to let us know, hey,
Right.
something's wrong here.
Right.
Um, and so that's why I say again, another thing that Jennifer Lewis said, she cussed, but I'm gonna say it. She was like, get that shit out on the table.
Right. Right.
Stop putting it in.
Exactly.
Because I think it really is a thing that our secrets and those things
Yep.
make us sick.
Yep.
And people have always wondered why I'm such an open book. It's like there is nothing that I won't tell. Because like the old saying used to be, oh, some things you got to take to your grave. That ain't what I want to take with me.
Right. Oh, no.
So just that. So again, in this piece of talking about advice, it's just talking about it, getting things out, dealing with things, because it's all a part of that process of being able to feel, to deal, and heal. That's literally a piece that I was just like, I got some of that concept from Miyala that she said, get underneath what you feel so you can understand it, so you can allow yourself to move past it.
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
And yeah, so, but I'll keep talking, so I'm gonna shut up. So, but as a closure, I want to say thank you for taking this time, sharing your story, and just being able to do that. You guys, again, her name is Lakeisha, Kiki, whatever. We family. Y'all can't call her that. I'm just kidding. But you can follow her. So tell them more about where to find you on social media and your website and information too.
My website is theheartandsoul.org and AND, heartandsoul.org. And you can follow me on social media at My Heart Soul, Instagram.
Cool beans. So yes, if you want to get that support, if you know, now are there any logistics as far as, because I know you were saying you're helping other working people who are going through those things? Are there, because I don't know where this video may reach. It is based out of North Carolina. Is it exclusive to North Carolina area, or kind of what are the things with that?
Right now, I do just focus on my area.
Okay.
My area is about to change because I am now leaving one county, moving to another. So I'm going to probably still kind of keep my current area and just include my new location. So,
Gotcha.
but I am working to get everything back up and running. COVID kind of took a toll on everything. So I'm trying to get everything back up and going. Looking forward to getting my walk started back up next year this time.
Okay. Well, definitely let me know once you do, and I can plug that into some of my things on social media to share as well, and actually make it to one of them now.
Right.
Because I think I missed the other ones.
Yeah.
Cool. But again, I want to thank you. Thank you for my team. Who is me? I'm just kidding. I say this every time. My best friend Jeremy has helped me with a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well. The one that does the flyers for me. But you can also follow me musically as Day Trail, or just my day-to-day, or coaching the PEP plan, which is where I host a lot of these conversations for pep talks and things. But y'all know that's it. Y'all know where to find me. So much love and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I hope you guys did enjoy this segment that we did today, and just giving that reminder that early detection does save lives. So man, woman, whoever, make sure that you're getting yourself checked and tested regularly for those things, just to make sure you're good. Definitely, again, giving a shout out to Lakeisha, who is actually celebrating 5 years being cancer free. That is really, really big, and that's super exciting. I also wanted to point out that I was going to add my song Heal into the segment as well. But with this platform, it's only going to allow me to do it where it releases it only onto Spotify. And being that I know that I have listeners on Apple Podcasts and things as well, I didn't want to limit it. I didn't want to limit where it was going to be available. So with that being said, if you'd like to hear the song, feel free to go stream it. You can find it on all streaming platforms. and it's from my most recent album called The Journey Continues Healing that I released February 22nd, 2022. A few shout outs I do want to give for this song is Chris, who helped with the mixing and mastering process, Leilu for working with me tirelessly for about a year on this song before it was actually completed, who also played guitar, giving a shout out to Echo for playing the drums and bass. And fun fact, you actually hear some of the piano parts in this that I am actually playing. I will eventually give a backstory on this song at some point, but that's it for now. And yeah, that's it. Much love and peace.